Howdy folks, I'm Pretty European Peacock, proudly parading around peaceful ponds.
I'm Amber.
And here are more peaceful ponds for us to parade around on. That's rhymings of sorts, but that's not the important part. The important part is that we have a live stream coming up on Friday. For more information, please see the end of the video. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I the Jerk? I changed my profile picture, and my husband is mad at me. I'm a 35-year-old female, and I went to a sci-fi con on Friday, and I met some of the cast from Twilight. I have loved the books since 2008, and I saw all of the movies at midnight when they were released. You could say that I was a superfan, and still am. Well, when I found out about a con near where I live, and I found the cast members from Twilight would be there, I immediately bought a ticket. Before leaving the con, I went to Facebook and I changed my profile picture to me and Kaylin Lutz, Emmett Cullen, and I posted the other pictures from the convention. I called my husband, a 33-year-old male, on the drive home, and he said that he didn't like that I used this picture as a profile picture because we looked like a couple. I asked him if he wants me to pull over at the next gas station and change it, to which he said, do whatever you want. Then he made remarks about changing his picture to him with another girl. I retorted that that's different, as this is a picture of a celebrity, and asked again if he wants me to change it, which he said, do what you want. So I left it as my picture. A few hours later, he looked at the picture again and saw a comment stating, what an adorable couple, laughy face, clearly a joke. This set off my husband, and he took a screenshot and sent them to me and said he was angry. I immediately logged into Facebook and I changed my picture to the one that I had previously set. He didn't talk to me at all on Saturday and missed the annual family event because he was mad at me. Today, he talked to me a little and he seemed mostly normal until after our child was in bed, and he said, do you have anything to say to me? And I said, Happy Father's Day? No, he was looking for an apology for hurting his feelings. I don't feel like I've done anything wrong, so Reddit, am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, not the jerk. If he is this insecure, it probably is time for him to get some therapy for these insecurities. You posted a picture with a celebrity. Nobody actually thought that you were a couple.
No, I think that's probably wrong. That person who posted that comment clearly knew that OP was with a famous celebrity now and had ditched her husband for him. Like, clearly that was the implication there. Because everyone knows that celebrities don't just take random pictures with people all the time.
Like, again, I can understand if this was like a friend that OP's husband had concerns about, like they were getting all coupley, but just taking a photo with a celebrity, like, again, nobody's going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, OP's totally with him now.
Yeah. I mean, even if she had changed her profile picture to somebody that she was friends with.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in general, friends pictures are fine. I just meant like if they were like one of those Reddit stories, where they're getting like all buddy and everything, but she, like sitting in his lap or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if it was something like intimate or something like that, like they both had their shirts off or something like that.
Like, yeah, like that one.
Then yeah, maybe that would be a cause for concern. But I think he's being overly sensitive. I don't think that OP did anything wrong here. Certainly he's allowed to feel the way he feels, but there's a place and time for dealing with those feelings, and that's therapy, right? So, I mean, certainly like people sometimes get jealous and sometimes they, have to work through those feelings, but where it becomes a problem is when you start actually trying to change another person based off of your feelings, right?
Well, and he's not even communicating well. Like, instead of saying, oh, this is making me really uncomfortable, could you please change this? He's like, do what you want. Do what you want.
Well, and that's another thing. I think that's a really good point. OP asked them straight up if they wanted to change it, and he just acted passive-aggressively, right? And instead of, coming forward and saying, yeah, actually, I'd feel a little jealous, blah, 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 he's like, people are going to think you're a couple with this person. And it's like, no one's going to think that OP is literally a couple with Edward Cullen or the star from Twilight. No one's going to believe that. They're a celebrity.
Yeah.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Lots of Cats Fee says, your husband is too immature for marriage. How old is he? And OP replies, I edited to add the ages. And Kitty Katos says, not the jerk, but I would seriously examine the kind of relationship that where you have to pull over and change your profile picture is more important than getting off the road and back to him earlier. And where your profile picture with a celebrity you admire is more offensive than not being excited for you that you actually got to meet these people and celebrate your fandom.
Oof, yeah, that's such a good comment.
Yeah, it's a really good comment. And Flo and Kui says, not to mention, Kellen Lutz is married with children to an insanely beautiful model. No offense to OP, I'm sure she is lovely, but none of us normies are going to quote-unquote look like a couple with literal movie stars who are done up professional for appearances. I would. I do. And OP replies, yeah, definitely not in league with Kellen or his lovely wife. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Getting Upset That My Significant Other Uninvited Me to a Date? So I'm a 28-year-old and my significant other is a 29-year-old and I've been together with them for 2 years and recently made plans to see a show. We often see shows together as it's something that we both enjoy and bonded over when we started dating. We usually alternate who buys the tickets, and this time they paid since I paid the previous one. I wasn't familiar with the show before they mentioned going, but since I have learned about it and was excited to go. Well, a few days before the show, my significant other asks me if I'm okay with not seeing the show. I ask why, and they say it turns out that they initially asked a friend to see it with them, and they both expressed interest in it when hanging out in the past and made loose plans to see it. Well, my significant other reached out to the friend and asked if they wanted to see it, and they didn't respond. And then he had no contact for roughly a week. During the week, my significant other was worried that the tickets would sell out. It's a very limited show run that typically sells out within a few days of opening. Well, my significant other sent a follow-up with no response. So my significant other then asked me to see it, and we bought the tickets. I had no knowledge that this was the initial plan. We had gotten the tickets weeks in advance. Apparently, after we bought the tickets, the friend responded saying that they never received the text about seeing the show. My significant other said that's okay, we can still see the show together. But at this point, it had been over a week since the tickets went on sale, and the show was all sold out for every night. Instead of telling the friend that they invited someone else, they decided to give them my ticket and uninvite me. I told my significant other that I wasn't happy that this was the plan, as it's unfortunate of a situation. We made a concrete plan together to see it. And since the show is sold out, I now can't see it at all, and I was excited to see it. My significant other thinks that since I wasn't aware of the show before they invited me, and the friend wanted to see it, that it's only fair. I don't think that this is fair and express this to my significant other, but they remain firm in their decision and believe they did nothing wrong. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. If he wanted to use you as a backup plan, he should have been clear about that from the beginning.
Yeah.
It sounds like he wanted to go with someone else, and he didn't think things were going to pan out, so only then did he go to OP. Pretended like this was, some new great date night, and then just swooped that out from under OP.
Yeah, you don't double book yourself like this. If you think that you're going to have a third person along, buy a third ticket.
Right, and if he wasn't sure, like, he could have said, oh, well, if the friend does agree, like, I would consider it prior plans. Like, that would still be a jerky thing to do. I think once he didn't hear from the friend and decided that he was going to go with OP, he just needed to commit to going with OP.
Well, exactly. I think that's what it boils down to. So I think if you are, like, if this had been at a last minute type of thing where they finally decided, okay, I haven't heard from this person, I'm going to invite my significant other, I think they really should have made sure that this other person was absolutely not interested in going before surrendering the ticket over to OP, right?
Exactly.
So that's where they went wrong in my book.
But if they were going to use OP as a backup, like, they should have at least communicated to OP that, oh, hey, if this person responds, I'll be revoking the ticket.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like they prioritize OP. It sounds like OP is, second on their list, if not farther down.
Yeah, it really does. I think it was an incredibly rude thing to do to OP, who was looking forward to seeing the show and now isn't even going to get a chance to see it. So.
And it's such a frustrating thing with these kind of situations where, because it happens all the time, where you have someone who is always making concessions for, like, their friends, trying to appease their friends or their family, but not, like, their actual partner who should be, their number one.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Agile Tune 4913 says, what kind of show? What does show mean in this context? I ask because going to shows as a hobby of mine and my boyfriend and a lot of my friends as well. But for me, the context is going to see bands play live music, concerts, but for some people that means plays or musicals. I feel like if it's a concert for an artist that you're not even a fan of, then you're in the wrong. If it's a play or something like that, then your partner is being kind of rude. Seeing a play is like seeing a movie, right? Like, you don't have to be a fan to want to go see it. Like, if you knew about it first, you would have bought the tickets. Also, if it was something that all three of you were interested in, why weren't you a part of the plans to begin with? And OP replies, seeing the show is a hobby for both of us. It's a play, not a well-known play or one that has a following. It's a new play no one heard of before a few months ago. They just both followed a source that let them know about the new play that I didn't follow. So it's not like they're both fans of the show. They just heard of it before me and had discussed potentially seeing it together. I don't think that actually answers the question the person was looking for, right? Like, why wasn't OP involved in that? Like, if you're have a significant other, wouldn't you want to include them in the initial plans?
Right. It sounds like OP was just a backup plan.
Yeah.
But also, I think that it doesn't matter if it was a theater production or a music production. It's the principle. Once you've invited someone and given away that ticket is now theirs.
Yeah, exactly. And Word Vomit 23 says, they should have told their friend that since they didn't hear back for over a week, they already made plans as it was selling out quickly. Uninviting you was wrong. I'm sorry. And Covert Pudding says, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at a friend for making other plans if they didn't hear from me. But I would be pretty annoyed if someone canceled fixed plans that they had made with me because they heard back from someone who is clearly their first choice. And if I'm second choice as your significant other, then I'm probably not going to want to be your significant other anymore. And Foxy Love says, totally with you. No one wants to feel like the backup plan in their own relationship. Respect and clear communication should always come first. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk If I Change My Employee Profile to Be Willing to Relocate States Without Consulting My Wife? My wife and I grew up in the suburbs of a major U.S. city. We both lived near said city after undergrad, and that's when we started dating. I was working and she was in grad school. After she graduated grad school, we broke up due to her accepting a role in the other side of the country. It's not as simple as that. There was more, but for the sake of length, we're leaving it at that. Well, after a few years, she moved back to our region, about 3 hours away from where we grew up, and we were on good terms by then. Our friends who initially set us up got married, and we got back together at their wedding. We decided at the onset that we were going to live in the same city to make it work, and that meant me moving to where she was living, out of state, 3 hours away. I moved, we got a dog, we bought a house, we got married, COVID happened right after we got married. We had a kid, we had another kid, and now we have a kid on the way. During all of this, mother-in-law and sister-in-law moved to where we are living. Since having kids, I've become really homesick. I have a lot of great memories of growing up with my cousins and large extended family. We don't have any of that where we live. Not to mention, we don't have many friends here, despite living here for 6 years. And all of our old friends are still in the same area with kids at the same age as our kids. Secondly, my career is doing fine, but since COVID, a lot of the roles and people that I work with have slowly moved to this major U.S. city where we grew up and where my family lives. We've talked about moving back over the years, but my wife is no longer interested in that and doesn't want to entertain the idea anymore. At the same time, her job/business is becoming more demanding and taking up more and more of a toll on her. She said on multiple occasions that she would love to go back to being an employee versus the role she has now. All this context comes to my question now. Will I be the jerk if I put my employee profile on that I'm willing to relocate my family to the area that we grew up in without talking to my wife about it first? I think that she would immediately dismiss it if I asked her, whereas if I had a serious offer that would pay enough for her to work part-time, she might actually consider it. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you would be a major jerk. When you're in a partnership, the two of you have to make decisions together. It sounds like your wife is very comfortable where she is. It sounds like she has family there. I understand you're missing your own family and you want to go back to them and you're missing your friends. And that's something you can talk to your wife about. It's even something you can split up about, but it's not something you can make a unilateral decision about and try and force her hand.
So this I think could be one way or the other. I think for the most part that OP would probably be in the wrong, right? And I think what OP is saying here, maybe not in such a good way, but that maybe if the wife knew he was going to have like a solid offer, that it might persuade her to change her mind. But the fact of the matter is that OP needs to consider what would this do to his career if he said he was willing to move and then suddenly backed out of it, right? Or because like that has to be a possibility. Like if his wife says no to moving, even if he has a solid, offer and more money and stuff like that, maybe that is going to be a point of contention, right?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like he wants to strong arm her. He
Mm-hmm.
hasn't considered the possibility if she isn't willing to take it, and he might even use that as like a pressure. Well, I've already said,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not okay.
No, it isn't.
And I don't think that I think he is probably wishfully thinking here when it comes to, it sounds like his wife has made her position very clear.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that, she's magically just going to, and a lot of times people complain about their jobs, right? Like you can have a job that's very stressful and you can complain about it a lot and still not want to work part-time. Like, has he talked to her about whether she would want another role?
Yeah.
Why isn't she looking for other roles if that's such an issue? Like, it sounds like he's come up with this idea that, oh, well, I can just get this new job and then she can work part-time. Does she even want to work part-time? She doesn't want to move to where you want to move. Does she even want to work to part-time? Is there anything in this that would actually benefit her?
Well, and I think those were all important questions, and that's why he needs to sit down and talk to her so that they can come to a mutual decision about what to do. And he can say, well, as one of the options, if I were to get a role, then it would likely pay me in this range, and that would allow you to work part-time if you wanted to, right? But that isn't something that OP should make on their own. It isn't a decision that OP should make on their own. And like you said, I feel like if he gets the job offer, then he's going to but I already have the job offer. It'll pay so much. Why don't we just try moving and see if you like it, blah, blah, blah. And maybe in a few years, if you don't like it, we'll move back to this area type of thing, right?
Right. Well, and if she also, he convinces her to go down to part-time, is she going to then kind of be trapped because she's going to have less resources of her own? And
I think it's a tricky situation. I certainly understand where OP is coming from here, but I do think they need to sit down and talk to their wife because I think it would be dishonest and disingenuous to not talk to her.
Well, and again, if this is a non-negotiable thing and he wants to go back to his hometown, then that is perfectly fine to say. It's fine to say, I want to live in this other place and I am going there with or without you.
Yeah.
But it is not fine to strong arm your partner into something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of is strong arming to some degree, but I mean, you can't control another person. She can make her own decision at that point in time, whether she wants to go with OP or if she wants to stay in this area. But I mean, that's a difficult position because it puts a lot of conflicting interests on the table.
It is a difficult position, but I just meant it's better to be honest about that than to just try and force someone else's hand, with this sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Accomplished File 317 says, in short, you're the jerk. Why would you not discuss this with her? Or are you thinking of going and moving without her, which is way bigger of an issue? And Professor Scott Steiner says, massive, you're the jerk. And Brittany Floss says, info, have you talked to your wife about any of this? Not just potentially moving for a job offer, but about your feelings. And Accurate Elephant 110 says, you will be the jerk. Not discussing this and applying for jobs could turn into a huge problem. This is something that you should be able to communicate with your partner about. It's not a unilateral decision. Discuss it first and maybe as I want to try and see what offers I get, and then we can decide together. I mean, I think that would be a fair way of approaching it. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the boats tie the knot?
Because they were moored.
Because they were in a relationship.
Oh, that makes sense.
And it's National Relationship Equity Day today.
Oh, so go find your equitable relationships and make sure to celebrate them. I
I
don't
mean,
know what.
I think the kind of the goal is to like evaluate your relationships and make sure that they are equitable. And I feel like some of our Redditors could benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good idea. Evaluate your relationships. If they're equitable, then try to make them unequitable
No.
by tipping the scales in your
No.
favor.
No, that is bad advice, bad Brian. And it's also upcycling day.
Ooh.
So maybe upcycle
So that old relationship of yours and make it an equal. And I have I apparently have dagger eyes stabbing me, and I have salted the special guest tea, salted caramel oolong. So yeah, I mean I like short circuited there. Was like, oh, I can't tell what tea I have, but I'm telling what tea I have. So I don't know why I short circuited there.
Yes, it's salted caramel oolong from David's tea.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It really is not bad at all. It's got real salted caramel chunks in it, so I mean it was a little sweeter than what I expected.
It's one of my favorites from them.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Terrific Tuesday, spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on snubbing your partner.
It's good to have healthy communication with your partner.
Yes.
Don't just snub them.
Yes.
Talk about your issues.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.